just so you all know. It will be recorded and the replay will be available to watch for 7 days. And so I want to really be with you for the first part of this masterclass. So just a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who are not familiar with the online world, there is a little icon at the top right-hand side that says view. So you can go view and you can just see the speaker, or you can go gallery and you can see everybody. So it's your choice, you know, if you want to see everybody's beautiful faces, you can go gallery, or if you just want to see me speak, then you can go on to speaker view. There will be discussion and there will be a presentation that I'm going to jump into for the teaching component of this masterclass, like we've all come today to learn the 3 keys to unlock our manifesting powers so we can live a life with ease and grace. Yes, please. Like, amen to that. So there will be a time when I will be sharing a PowerPoint with you. It's very, very pretty. But I also just want to be with you right here, right now. But this masterclass is about time. It is about energy. It is about mindfulness. It is about presence. It is about us not being distracted and being here in this moment. We are driven by distraction all of the time. So I'm just going to invite you, if it feels comfortable, to just be with me. Like, put your phone on airplane mode, put the kids, get them watching a movie, you know, whatever it is that I'm just going to invite you. Like, everything I share with you today is an invitation. You know, some of what I might share with you, you may really deeply resonate with, and other things you may think like that's just doesn't work for me right now. And that's absolutely okay. You know, perfectly okay, perfectly imperfect. We love perfectly imperfect. So today I'm going to take you through a beautiful visualization. We're going to do a beautiful practice called heart congruence. So we're really going to understand what it feels like to live life from our heart's intelligence. And I'm going to give you some education and some inspiration around why it's so important that we really change our perception of who we are and be able to come into this magical space, which is our heart's energy. And this is all based on science and quantum physics. It's not hippie bullshit. It's genuinely been researched that our heart is the key to us living the life of our dreams. It is our heart that creates our reality. It is our feeling state that is the prayer. It's not the words that we're saying, like that's obviously part of it. I did a whole presentation yesterday on effective communication. 70% of the way we communicate is nonverbal, right? Like the words are like 9% of what we say. And I felt very cool because it was the Sony music. So I was like, oh, it's cool that I have my pink hair and my feathers after my festival. I don't have to wash it out because Sony music's quite cool. So just a little bit about me. I teach corporate wellness, and I've been doing that for the last 4 years. I've had my own business for 10 years. And I will share my story with you, but I went through a divorce 11 years ago. It was a devastating time in my life. I literally went from being happily married to suddenly being a single mother. My son Leo was only 2 at the time. And I was 35, and it was like my worst fear had come true. You know, suddenly I was having to move from a house into an apartment. I had to go back to the corporate world. And really my life changed in a heartbeat in that moment. And it took me about 3 years to find my way back to myself. So I really lost my connection to everything, to myself, to my son, to my world. And I'm really grateful now. I'm 11 years on, I'm remarried, I have 2 more beautiful children. I'm happier than I've ever been in my whole life. And it really was my breakdown before my breakthrough. So I'll dive a little bit more into that as we go. But I just wanted to let you know, so I now teach corporate wellness, and I get the privilege and pleasure to make massive impact. So my word for 2022 is impact. And so I manifest these opportunities to come to me using my energy and my vibration. And I will teach you how to do this today. Prime example, I'm very passionate about neurodiversity. My beautiful 13-year-old, my son Leo, has autism and ADHD. And I really want to start creating conversations in the corporate space. I do a lot of mental health awareness, but now I want to talk about inclusion and diversity and neurodiversity. And I literally have a job booked next week with Adobe, massive client, to talk about neurodiversity. And I'm super excited about that, because this is what lights me up, making impact and creating these conversations. And that was literally me putting that out to the universe. You know, this is what I want to be speaking about. And I got that, it came straight back. So I'm going to teach you, how do we do that? How do we manage our energy, not our time? Like, what does that even mean? How can we manifest what we want into our reality using this concept of our feeling state, our vibration? So today we're going to talk and we're going to discuss some great concepts. We're going to do a beautiful practice together. I'm going to invite you on a journey. And if you feel called to continue that journey, there'll be an opportunity at the end of the call for you to jump on another free call with me. And then there'll be a Q&A as well. So that's kind of how we're going to roll today. But ultimately, we're here to learn about how to unlock our manifesting powers to create a life with ease and flow and grace. And if you stay on the call to the end, you can win a free session with me. This is an intuitive guidance session. It's worth 222. That's an angel number. And at Seven Sisters, this was really cool. I did 5 dance classes, burlesque, 5 rhythms. I did an 80s dance routine too. I'm so excited. Amazing. And I got a Fitbit badge saying, congratulations, you've done 22,222 steps. I was like, yeah, high five. That's cool. So 222 is one of my favorite numbers, angel numbers. And so I price everything with the double, triple digits. And so please stay on, because there will be a giveaway at the end. And so that's how we're going to roll today. So I wanted to share with you a little bit more about my journey today, and really say that everything you deeply desire is on the other side of fear. And every single workshop I went to when I was away for 4 days at Seven Sisters, this amazing women's festival in Melbourne, every single workshop, whether it was midlife pleasure and power, whether it was a priestess goddess circle, I met my intuitive dominatrix. Goodness me, my husband had the time of his life when I got back from that festival. She is like so in her power, so free, and it was just so potent. And but every single message was, we are love, we are unconditional love, we are infinite, we are so powerful. We need to return to the truth of who we are. We need to come back to love. We need to come back into our heart. So every single workshop I went to, my teacher, Ricky Jane Adams from the Institute of Intuitive Intelligence, was there. She's such a potent and powerful speaker. She sold out of all her books within 10 minutes, because she's just got the most fierce energy. And and that's my intention today, is to really anchor in the teachings of what she has taught me and what I'm now teaching you. So I really honor my teachers. I really honor the lineage. I've done yoga training, mindfulness training, intuitive intelligence training, multiple business trainings. And so this is not like, yes, this is content that's being channeled for you today, but it's also come from a lot of other teachings. I've probably invested over $100,000 over 10 years into various trainings and teachings to be able to deliver this content. I think I've done 5 different websites, and I'm the author of 2 books. My book, Mother Om, I wrote after my divorce, after that experience. I really wanted to be of service. And I have this memory of going through the divorce and feeling so lost and really wanting to be guided. And I had this beautiful spirit animal. She was a cat called Prunella. And I'm really in my feline vibes right now. I'm getting sacred markings with my husband for our 5th wedding anniversary. And I've got this intense lioness energy, and he's got this amazing wolf energy. And we're getting these sacred these markings together. They'll be on our forearms. So obviously, that's going to be here for me, and his will be on the other side. And I've always had this very potent energy, and my name means little lioness. And so for me, cats are a very strong spirit animal. And I had this beautiful cat, Prunella, and she died quite suddenly after I'd gone through my divorce. And a friend of mine was actually working in a vet, and she had a cat too. And her cat did a very similar thing. It supported her throughout this time. It took all her energy and all her sadness. And then when I had actually gone through this process and written my book, Mother Om, she suddenly died. She had this she couldn't cope with toxicity in her liver anymore, and there was no real explanation, but she just held this space for me while I was able to really heal throughout that time. And I remember holding her in my arms as I had to say goodbye to her, and making this vow that I would go out and I would support other women on their journey, whether they were going through a divorce, whether they were managing children on the spectrum, whether they'd lost that sense of connection through motherhood or through divorce or through devastation or destruction. Like, I wanted to be of service. And I published Mother Om, and it was just extraordinary. I'd been a single mom for 3 years, and I sent it off to the printer. And I literally went on one date on Tinder, and I met my husband now, my beautiful husband, Yako, who is Finnish and I'm English. Our kids are Finglish, and we're from different cultures, but we really come together in this really divine union. And we both have done a lot of work on ourselves, and we're both incredibly independent people. And we go off and we do our own work in the world, but we come together in a really beautiful union. And I'm really deeply grateful for that connection. So my story is very much one from divorce to divinity, but along my journey, I wrote Mother Om. My mission was to empower specifically mothers at that time. And I don't advertise necessarily to mothers now. I advertise to all women, or all people who identify as women, but I do attract mothers or women who are in that mother archetype. So you don't have to have your own biological children, but women that identify with being a mother and a carer on their journey. And so I started to do a lot of speaking. That's what happens when you write a book, and my book won some awards. And then as a result of that, I was still speaking on a stage, and then I got offered this role to do corporate wellness. So that was 4 years ago, just before the pandemic, so divine timing, that I was able to then turn my whole business into, I was doing a lot of in-person work. And then of course the pandemic made everything online. So I've been very grateful to triple my income, because the corporate world pays very well, and to then be able to take what I've learned from that and channel it back into my own programs. So thank you for taking that time, for listening to that story. I've launched a podcast. I've launched 5 different businesses. I make beautiful custom design earrings for my clients as well. And everything is all about returning to wholeness, these mindful reminders, so that if we're rocking up on Zoom with our clients, we've got something that reminds us how powerful we are, how intuitive we are. Like, everyone is born intuitive. No one's unique or special. Like, everyone has this gift. It's not like, God was giving out intuition and just missed you out. Like, that's not how it is. We all have this innate ability inside of us. We just need to be reminded of how powerful we are. We just need to remember that truth. And that's my intention for today, is to take you on this journey and just remind you, like, share with you the 3 keys, which are universal laws. So share with me in the chat box, does this resonate with you? Are you ready to absorb this information that has radically changed my life, and I know can radically change other people's life as well? So share with me, are you excited? Like, how are you feeling right now in this moment? Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling exhausted? Are you feeling depleted? Are you feeling joyful? We swing through different emotions on a daily basis. And one of my, she's not my personal teacher, but someone I really love and I devour her content, is Brené Brown. And Brené Brown, her new book, Atlas of the Heart, she teaches us that we have 150 different emotions. Like, that's a lot of different feelings that we're feeling all of the time. And we really only focus on our primary emotions. We're really only like that movie Inside Out, like fear, disgust, anger, happiness. Like, we really only go, well, this is just how I feel. But no, we feel bittersweet, which is 2 different emotions at once. We can go from rage to joy in a pendulum swing. And so the current climate of the world that we're living in is we can get very overwhelmed. We can find it really difficult to hear our intuition because fear blocks our intuition. And of course, we need to regulate our nervous systems. So we can't be in creative flow. We can't be present with our children if we're in a state of chaos and our nervous systems are dysregulated. And everyone on the planet right now has a dysregulated nervous system. We are coming out of a time where we are in survival right now. You know, we are not thriving on the planet. The world is fucked. Sorry, I think I saw a child, Annie, I'm sorry. Hopefully she didn't hear that. But sometimes yeah, good job, headphones, right? But the world's it's totally in chaos, and it's going to remain in chaos. And coronavirus, or, you know, these viruses, and it's going to keep mutating, right? We need to prioritize our well-being. We need to clean our vessel. We need to take radical responsibility for our own health and well-being, because if we don't, we will be forced to prioritize our illness. So we are the sickest we have ever been. And I want to share some stats with you that I find really frightening, and that my vision is much bigger than, you know, yes, I want to return women to wholeness, and I want to go out and make radical change, but my mission and my highest vision is bigger than that. So medical research tells us that 90% of all illness and disease is caused by stress, right? Stress causes 90% of all illness and disease. And I do a lot of stress management. And I know that people go, I don't know how to relax. I don't know, I can't remember what that feels like. And so we are addicted to our fears, and we don't know how to get our body back into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. So we self-sabotage. We get to the end of the day and we're so overloaded with information that we smash a bottle of wine. We stay up till 11, 12 o'clock watching something really horrific like Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, but I watched one episode and I was like, I can't watch that. I don't want that in my energy field. But for many of us, we'll watch something on Netflix, we'll go to bed too late, we won't have a deep, restful sleep, we'll wake up and we'll be downing our coffee, and then we'll be self-sabotaging and beating the hell up about ourselves because we've gone into our addictive behaviors, and we are addicted to our fears, our ego trying to keep us safe in our comfort zone, like it's comfortable for us to go into our self-sabotaging behaviors. So when we become really aware of what those addictions are and how we can figure out, well, what are my soul care strategies? Like, instead of drinking that bottle of wine, instead of drinking that coffee, like, how can I connect back to my soul on a daily basis? Like, how can I do this with my children? How can I do this with my partner? Like, and so when I work with clients, the first thing we do is a well-being checklist. Like, we go through the different points. Like, environment is huge. What is in your environment? What is in your space? What colors are you tuning into? Like, this all affects our chakras and our energy centers. And so we are communicating all the time with other people, and we are communicating all the time with God, oneness, universe, whatever word it is for you. I will use the word universe today because that's the word that lands deeply for me. And I ran away from the word God for 20 years. I'm comfortable with the word God now. But ultimately, we are always in communication with the universe. And so I teach women how to co-create their life with the universe, so they live a life with ease and flow and grace. Like, who wants more of that? Who just wants life to be easier? Like, you know, like, when we let go of perfectionism, and like, comparison is the thief of joy, and procrastination is the thief of time. Like, we spend so much time and energy worrying about things we have no control over. We worry about our kids. Like, some of these stats I'm going to share with you, like, this keeps me awake at night. So 1 in 4 females in 2020 and 2021 had a 12-month mental disorder. A 12-month, not a 5-minute one, a 12-month mental disorder. That is 24.6% of women. Like, this is from the Australian statistics of Bureau of Statistics. That's frightening. To me, that's frightening that 1 in 4 women had a 12-month mental disorder. What scares me the most is 8 Australians die every day from suicide, every day. And suicide is completely preventable. It's a tragedy. There is so much help and support out there, but we don't want to talk about how we're truly feeling. So we mask every day. I'm fine, I'm fine. And it's bullshit, and we're not okay. Like, Are You Okay Day is this great big marketing thing we do in corporate every year. We have to ask ourselves and our loved ones every day, are we okay? Like, really, are we really okay? Because the leading cause of death, and this frightens me, I have a 13-year-old teenage son, the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 24 is suicide. Like, these are our children. Like, this to me is so frightening. Like, it literally gives me such anxiety. My son is 13. He's at a really beautiful high school. There was a girl in year 8 that killed herself a few months ago. It's frightening. It's frightening. And he's been exposed to another 2 situations as well. Like, this is like, this to me is like, life is so fragile. We're living in this world that is just, there's so much fragility right now. People are being diagnosed with autoimmune diseases every day, or debilitating diseases that they then have to live with for the rest of their life. And research and science tells us that if we have a lot of unmet fear in our body and a lot of chronic stress in our body, it will manifest into physical dis-ease. And it could be a cold, it could be a cold sore, it could be cancer. So we're at this space, we're at this radical time in history to make a change, to make a transformation. And it starts with you. It starts local and then it goes global. And I think we're at this precipice, this amazing opportunity for us to learn a new way of being, for us to see the world in a different way. And so the 3 biggest things my clients struggle with, and I'm sure you'll identify with this, is overcoming fear. We don't want to meet our fear. Fear is scary. We don't want to sit there and be with our deepest, darkest fears. But if we don't do that, we manifest them into our current reality. This happened to me with my divorce. I manifested my divorce. I look back now and I'm like, it was all subconscious. But I'm going to share with you that we are being programmed. We are programming our reality every moment of every day. And we do it from our subconscious mind. And 90% of what is happening in our world is being programmed from our subconscious mind. And the reason it's subconscious is we don't have any awareness. So this is why so many marriages break down, because it's 2 people trying to come together, trying to parent kids from their subconscious patterning. Like, really, that's difficult. 90% of what we're doing in our world is subconscious. So it's no surprise to me that so many relationships break down. It's no surprise to me that 1 in 4 women have a mental breakdown that goes on for 12 months, because this is how we are living our lives. And so we need to make our subconscious conscious. And the only way to do that is to meet our fear. And I want to share with you that fear is not scary. Our deepest and darkest fears are an invitation for us to come home to the truth of who we are. I use my fear as a teacher. Like, if I feel fearful about something, I'm like, I need to go there. Like the woman that did the intuitive dominatrix workshop, she scared the shit out of me. She's got big breasts and she's wearing this sadistic outfit. And I was like, whoa, I don't even know what planet she's from. And I was kind of like, I'm a little bit horrified, but I'm going to go to your workshop. And it was fucking amazing. We're like, women were like lap dancing each other. And it was like, woo, like, and she talked about like, we are God, but we are kinky as well. And when we can learn the language of kink, we can go out there and be wild. And I totally identify with the wild woman. Like, the wild woman for me has been with me my whole life. Like, when I was birthing my baby, she was there. When I'm creating my programs, like, I'm really in tune with my wild woman energy. But I use fear as a teacher. I'm not scared of sitting with my fear. So when we're in the kitchen and we see the washing up's not been done and there's jam all over this happened to me last night, I come back from being away and the house is an absolute tip and there's food all over the kitchen and I'm standing there and I'm like, this is one of my moments where I can go into the self-sabotaging and the blaming and the shaming, and I've just had this beautiful time away. Or I can sit there and I can just meet my fear around this and have self-inquiry. I don't want to get triggered the moment I walk in the door. I want to stay in this high and light energy. So I'm like, well, what's deeper than me getting frustrated right now at the state of the house? Because if I was here, it wouldn't be that way, right? Like, my house is really tidy. I love things. I'm all very Zen-like, right? Kids have very limited toys. I'm like, go out on the street and play. Like, you know, I don't like a lot of mess and chaos. It clutters my mind. But when I came back from 4 days away, wow. I was like, this is really triggering. But I'm like, why is it triggering for me? What's deeper than that? What's deeper than that? It's a sense of control. It's a sense of attachment that we have. And when we can sit in this space of unlayering our fears and meeting our fear, we then become really grateful for our fear, because we're like, thank you for showing me where I need to evolve more, because it's not actually anybody else that's triggering you. It's unmet fear that's being triggered. Like, we are all one, we are all reflections of each other. So overcoming fear is a huge challenge for my clients. Mastering the art of time. We just feel like we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to be present with our kids, to do the things we love. We're running out of time. Like, our concept of time in our modern world, and time is constant and time is linear, but energy is infinite. So when we change our perception of time, when we focus on our energy, we have so much more time to do the things we love. And people often say to me, you've got 3 young kids. My kids are 13, 7, and 4. I publish books. I go out there. I create all these programs. I do all these things. And I'm like, but I prioritize my energy over everything else. So what that ultimately means is, well-being is a huge part of that. But I'm like, where am I expelling that energy? Where it's just, I'm feeling leaks in my energetic body. What relationships do I have that don't serve me anymore? Like, there's so much we can let go of. Letting go of could, letting go of should. Like, that is just all bullshit. You know, it's all bullshit. So how can we come back to standing in our truth and being that powerhouse and going out into the world and being a fear huntress? You know, like, show me my limitations, show me my fear, so I can go out there and I can inspire others to do the same. So 100% trust in ourselves is something we need. We need to be trusting ourselves 100% of the time. And I know that for many of the women I work with, they don't fully trust themselves. And so ultimately, when we've got 100% radical trust, it means we're really connected to our intuition, and we don't need to ask anybody else, which logo do you think looks the best? Like, you don't need to ask, like, you know, right? Like, you know in your heart the right decision. And when you're so tuned into your intuition, you're just channeling content. Like, I haven't even looked at my notes, right? I've been talking for half an hour. I'm just channeling what needs to come through. And so we have to clean our body. Like, we have to have a clear vessel. So for me, it was giving up coffee. It's not drinking alcohol. Like, it's detoxing 4 times a year. Like you can't be in the heaviness and expect to be connected to your intuition. It doesn't work that way. Like, so it's this real process. And for some people, that's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to let go of eating carbs on the couch. I don't want to let go of my bottles of wine. I don't want to let go of all my self-sabotaging behaviors, because it's really comfortable for me to be there. I like getting on the phone and bitching to my friends about the state of the world. And that's okay. Like, everyone has their own journey. Like, my spiritual awakening was a divorce, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. But I now know we can awaken through joy. We can awaken through pleasure. Like, yes, please. Like, why do we self-sabotage pleasure? Like, as women, we are so creative. We are so sexual. We have so much of this energy flowing through our womb spaces. Yet we sabotage that, and we don't tune in to what gives us pleasure, or we people please. So one of the stress responses that we have, we know fight, flight, freeze. That's a very common one. But we go into fawning. Fawning is people pleasing. And we do it all the time. We say yes when we actually want to say no, but we don't like confrontation. We don't want to upset the other person. We go into, like, you know, I don't want to be judged, like, for saying no. And so we fawn. We do it all the time with our partners, with our kids, with our clients. And when we have that awareness, when we can set really strong, healthy boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not sacrificing my energy. So for me, it was coffee and alcohol. And socially in Australia, like, it's awkward to not drink. Like, people expect you to drink and be social, and thank goodness there's a lot of non-alcoholic substitutes now. Amazing brands, Naked Life, you can have a gin and tonic and it's not got alcohol in it. So thank goodness there's lots of substitutes. But coffee for me was like a 2-year breakup. I had such bad anxiety in 2020. I could feel like we're all highly empathetic beings, right? We're human. Like, no one's more sensitive than anyone else. I know people identify with the word empath and highly sensitive. We are all highly sensitive. We are human, right? This is how we show up. So we're feeding off each other's energy all of the time. And so when we become really mindful of, you know, what we're watching, what we're eating, the conversations, the words we're saying, it changes our perception. So I want to jump in now. I want to share my screen. I just want to share with you the 3 keys, okay? Because that's why we're here today. I'm just going to shoot through this presentation because I've gone through this. So it's basically, how do we overcome these challenges of what I've shared with you? So we overcome our fears by understanding the first law of the universe, which is the law of mentalism. We overcome not trusting ourselves by understanding the law of correspondence, which is the second law of the universe. And we overcome this concept of not enough time by the law of vibration. But actually, before we do that, so I've gone off on a bit of a rant, I actually want us to tune into a meditation and a visualization before we go into the education piece. So I'm going to invite you, if it feels comfortable, to close down your eyes. And I'm going to invite you to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And I'm going to invite you now to start inhaling and exhaling, inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth with a sigh. Oh, just letting go of all effort required to be here in this moment. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth with an audible sigh. Just becoming present in our bodies, feeling the connection of your ground, of your feet on Mother Earth. Place your feet on the ground, feeling that support. Feel the support of your seat. And I'm going to invite you to think of a stressful thought or feeling, something that's bothering you right now in this moment. And I'm going to invite you to rate that on a feeling of 1 to 10. So 10 being the most intense. So looking for that stressful thought, feeling, or physical manifestation that may be a physical pain in your body. And rating that on a scale of 1 to 10 and taking a mental note of that number. And as you start to consciously take deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, I want you to imagine a spark of light at the center of your chest. And with every inhale, that spark of light grows effortlessly, moving out of your chest from your heart space into the room in which you sit. This beautiful light effortlessly growing as you inhale and exhale. And effortlessly, this spark of light moves to fill your street, your neighborhood. Inhaling and exhaling, this magical light, this divine light fills the suburb. And as you inhale, on your next inhale, it fills the state in which you live. And as you keep this vibration and this focus on this light, your next inhalation, it encircles the whole country in which you live. And you keep this feeling, this vibration of this beautiful white golden light And you're not in your next inhalation, it effortlessly encircles the entire globe. Your light, your energy, your magnificence, your radiance, your pleasure, your power. Sit in this for a moment. This is your divinity, your divine light. Everything is energy. Taking a breath in to this magnificent light. And now I want you to place those 2 fingers at the center of your chest over your heart space. And we're going to move into a practice of heart congruence, activating our heart's intelligence, transmuting our fear, tuning back into that stressful thought or situation again. We're going to transmute our fear now. I'm going to invite you to use your mind like a photographic, cinematic display and bring to mind everything you feel deeply grateful for in this moment. Focus on everything in the last 24 hours you feel deep gratitude for. This could be the sun shining, a smile from a stranger, a fresh cup of cacao or coffee, a hug from your child. It could be making the time to be here today. Whatever invokes a strong feeling of appreciation, freedom, gratitude, and joy. Focus on these feelings with all of your self-awareness and attention. Keep focusing on these feelings. Let the emotions arise. Gratitude, appreciation, freedom, and joy. Keep focusing on this vibration, this light, this energy. Imagine it filling the room. Keep focusing on these feelings. We will move into just a few moments of silence. As we practice together, we exponentially increase our heart's intelligence. It magnifies. It doesn't matter that we're not sitting in front of each other. We are all connected, all one. Everything is energy. Breathing into these feelings of gratitude, appreciation, joy, and freedom. Appreciation, gratitude, joy. Keep the focus. Keep the expansion. Keep breathing. Gratitude, appreciation, joy, and freedom. And I'm going to invite you now to tune back into that stressful thought, that situation, that feeling or physical pain, and rate it again for me now. Has your number come down? Our intention for this practice of heart congruence is to bring our number down to a 2 or below. So if your number is above a 2, you're very welcome to go back into that practice. So 3 minutes a day is what we need to do to transmute our fear, to return to wholeness, to change our emotional vibration. I invite you now to take an in breath through the nose, out through the mouth with a sigh. Just bringing your hands back down. Yawning is good. It's a sign of energy shifting. So bringing back some movement into your body. And just share with me, did your number come down? How was that experience for you? And so this practice actually stops us aging. So with this practice, you get younger and hotter. So this practice actually stops the telomeres, which cause aging in our body, which shorten over time, which is the process of aging. It stops the telomeres in our body shortening. Phenomenal, right? How cool is that? It actually slows down the aging process. So not only are we tuning into our intuition, we're transmuting our fear, we're returning to wholeness, we're looking younger and hotter and fitter. Yay! Yes, please. I'll have some of that. It's a beautiful practice. And so I'm going to go back now and share my screen and just share with you these 3 laws that have radically changed my life. So Marianne Williamson is one of my teachers. I am in a beautiful sanctuary with another teacher of mine, and every 2 weeks we come together, we study A Course in Miracles, and we share our miracles. And a miracle is anything that's happened to you where you have returned from fear to love. So it could be an interaction. Once you were triggered, now you are not. So our deepest fear, and I wrote about this in Mother Om, is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure, and it is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us the most. One of my deepest fears is not fulfilling my potential on this planet to be of service and create impact. And when I had my 3rd beautiful baby Phoenix, I didn't want 3 kids. I looked at mums with 3 kids and I was like, why would you have 3 children? You only have 2 hands. I literally thought that to me looks like hell. And guess what? I manifested that, right? I manifested 3 children. I love my children deeply. Layla's 13 now, Luna Joy is 7, and Phoenix is 4. My husband and I got married, and I was 40 when we got married. And he said to me, I'm going to get you pregnant at the wedding. And I was like, don't be ridiculous, babe. I'm way too old for that shit. And he did. And he called in our beautiful babe, Phoenix. And as much as I was grateful for that, the whole of the pregnancy I was in, how am I going to cope? I've got a child with autism. I'm running my business. I don't know how to deal with 3 children. And interestingly, I got shingles. I've never had shingles before. I got shingles when I was pregnant with Phoenix. And shingles, the physical manifestation of that is a fear of not coping. And so when I had Phoenix, guess what happened? I struggled to cope. I had postnatal depression / depletion. This child had tongue-tie issues, breastfeeding issues, silent reflux, a whole conundrum of issues that none of my other kids had. And I'm dealing with a child with autism, and I'm dealing with a very spirited 4-year-old. I had to surrender my business. I couldn't be of service, and I was so depressed as a result because I couldn't be of service. So my deepest fear is not being able to fulfill my potential, and it's my light that scares me the most. And I think for many of us who listen on this call who are of service in some way will resonate with that. But we need our darkness to see the light. Like we need shadow, we need that to be able to see our light. So how do we do this? So how do we overcome our fear? So the first law is the law of mentalism. What that ultimately means is oneness. Everything in the whole universe is one. So everything in the universe is created by our mind. So our thought creates what's happening. So when we look at this graphic of the iceberg, it goes back to what I was explaining around how our mind works. So our conscious mind is about 10% of what we're aware of in our world, and our subconscious mind is 90%. So we can see our beliefs, our emotions, our habits, our values, our imagination, our intuition, this is all subconscious. So we need to be able to access our subconscious mind. And we do that through overcoming our fear and having that self-inquiry. And when clients work with me, we go on a journey and we do a 9-step process where I go into their subconscious mind, I tell them their dominant fears, and then we do a 9-step process of returning to wholeness. It's very powerful, and my clients are left feeling so much lighter and freer. One of my clients described it as the journey Elsa takes in Frozen 2. She can hear all the voices of her ancestors, and she's called to the light, right? Like she can hear and feel her intuition and her lineage, and she goes into the underworld. She descends into the cave, and she finds her true self, and she embodies that, and she comes back out. So one of my beautiful clients said, that's what you did to me. Like, I found who I was, I let go of my fear, I was returned to wholeness. Like we practice the atonement, we practice forgiveness. It's a beautiful process. So our fear leads us back to the truth of who we are, which is unlimited consciousness, pure energy. We are powerful. We have the whole universe inside of us. So my name, Leonie, means little lioness, but I like to tell people it's pronounced like Leonie, right? Princess Leonie. So that's how I introduce myself. I'm Princess Leonie because I get Leonie in Australia. But there's this really cool holographic image in Star Wars of Princess Leia, like with the holograph. You know, most of us have seen Star Wars. And basically that's like us in the universe. We are a holographic image of the universe, right? So therefore we have the whole universe inside of us. And this may sound like this is just like a really difficult concept to embody, right? But when we understand that we are an intricate part of the universe and we have the whole universe inside of us, like as Rumi famously says, you know, we are not the whole ocean, we are a drop of the ocean, right? Like that whole concept, we understand how powerful we are. So we get over our smallness, our littleness, our ego. Like my ego is called Dave. He was the first boyfriend I ever had. We did a lot of drugs together. We partied really hard together. But when my ego comes in and says, you can't do that, you're not good enough, self-worth, I'm like, thanks, Dave, not today. I'm not choosing to listen to that because I'm not interested in staying small. I'm not interested in being in my comfort zone. I know from my own journey that being thrown out of my comfort zone was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I go out there and I seek discomfort now because I'm here to evolve and I'm here to grow and I'm here to make radical change. So my fear is my teacher. If it scares the shit out of me, I go do that. And so 90% of our thoughts are subconscious. So our Course in Miracles, are you choosing love or fear in each moment? Because you're going to learn with the second 2 laws that we're consciously creating our reality all of the time. So I taught mindfulness for many years, and I believe the evolution of mindfulness is heartfulness. So we've gone from being present, we've gone from using our minds as a really powerful tool, to use our senses, to be in our body, to be in the moment. But now research tells us it's our heart that holds the key to us manifesting and creating the life that we dream of, because it's our heart that actually communicates to our brain. So studies have been done, and Heart Math Institute is an amazing institute in America, and studies have been done. Like we have a heart brain. We have a brain in our gut, we have a heart brain, and we have our cranial brain. And our heart brain, so there were studies done where people were wired up to like, you know, electromagnetic like things on their head, and they would show images that evoked emotion. So an image that was happy, an image that was sad, they'd show terror, they'd show different images, and they measured the reaction time between the images. They measured the heart, they measured the brain. And what they found was the heart recognized the emotion before the cranial brain. So what that means is our heart is telling our cranial brain how to feel. And as a result of that, our brain is telling us what we think. Like that's life-changing. It's not our thoughts, it's our feelings. So again, when we get this awareness, when we understand, so if we're in chaos, if we're in grief, if we're in self-pity, we are going to create more of that in our life. So this leads me on to the second law of the universe, the law of correspondence, which is ultimately the law of communication, like I was talking about at the beginning of the call. So we are creating our reality in each moment. So of course, we're going to have times where we feel terrible and we watch the news and we see what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, or our child comes home and says, I was bullied today, or something really, you know, of course, we're going to go into times when we feel these deep emotions. 5 minutes of self-pity, that's it. Do not stay there. If you stay there, you're creating more of that in your external world. So this map of consciousness by David Hawkins shows us the emotions and where they sit in our physical body. And this map, if you know anything about chakras and energy, that this is also the colors of the chakras that run through our body. So red is base chakra, base of our spine, survival. Like when a baby is born, it's in survival. It's just dependent on us for our survival. So when we're feeling grounded, when we're feeling supported, this is the energy we feel. But you can see that the lowest vibrational feelings that we feel as a human being is shame, guilt, and apathy. Shame is the lowest vibration we will ever feel. And it kills us when we feel shame. Shame is, I'm not a good person. I'm, and it's not the same as guilt. Guilt is, I'm a good person, but I did something I shouldn't do, and I feel guilty. Shame is, I am a horrible, horrible, horrible person. And the self-loathing is horrendous. And we see this. My dog has shame. My dog is a Labrador and eats his own shit. It's disgusting. And he knows when he does that we are like, you do not do that. And he hangs his head and his tail, and he feels shame in that moment for doing that. I mean, he's a Labrador, right? They eat everything, but that's pretty disgusting. And he knows. We get really cross with him and we're like, no, do not eat that. That's disgusting. Animals feel shame. Every single living creature that lives and breathes feels shame. It's the lowest vibration. So we don't want to be sitting in a lot of shame. We don't want to be in a lot of guilt. Now, I wrote Mother On because I felt really guilty for shouting at my children, for not feeling connected, for going through a divorce, thinking it was all my fault, that I'd manifested it. And, you can't unsee things once you have that awareness. Like once you realize how powerful you are, you're kind of like, oh my God, like I can't have a negative thought because I'm going to create that, because we manifest what we do when we don't want. But we have the power to change our vibrational feeling using heart congruence. I use intuitive intelligence tapping, which is emotional freedom technique, which is another powerful tool where we get to change our feeling state. So this map shows us the lowest vibrational feelings are at the bottom. So it goes spine, it goes up to our navel. So our navel, which is our orange spinning wheel of energy, that's pleasure, that's addiction, that's relationships. So, desire, that's all about pleasure. But look, fear and grief, this is where our relationships come in. We have so much fear for our children. We feel so much guilt about maybe some of the words we say to them. Like, I'm no angel. I drop the F-bomb regularly with my children. That's how I actually process my anger. Like when I'm getting really angry, I say the F word, and then like, I don't want to smack them, right? So I'm like, I just need to get it out. So it's like, for me, swearing actually releases that energy. So my kids know if I drop the F-bomb, I'm really, really angry, and they stop what they're doing. And then, of course, little Phoenix at daycare the other day was having a wee and just drops the F-bomb. And then they tell me, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I'm not perfect. like, this is just how I process my emotion in the moment. So I apologize that my 4-year-old is now saying the F word. He knows he's not allowed to say it, and he said it like just really casually in conversation. It was just like, or he drops something and he goes, fuck. And I'm like, oh my God, like, they pick up everything that you do. But I don't feel guilt about that, because it's just something that helps me process my anger and frustration in that moment. So I'm not then carrying that around with me for the rest of the day. So I'll take swearing over violence. Sometimes that's the only choice we have. But ultimately, if you look at this map, what's really fascinating is as we go from that sacral chakra into that stomach area, which is our self-confidence and our willpower and our determination, you've got courage there, right? And courage is one of the most beautiful emotions that we have. And green is heart. So at the middle of this map, the green energy is our heart's energy, our heart's intelligence. And ultimately, we cannot get into our heart's intelligence if we do not feel courage. So we need to have the courage to speak our truth. We need to have the courage to make daily choices to prioritize our well-being. We need to have the courage to go out there and do things differently. We need to have courage to be able to make change in the world, to start our own business, to write a book, to have vulnerable conversations. We have to have courage. And this map so beautifully shows us that for us to get over our fears and our grief and our guilt and our shame, we need to step into courage. And then we step into our heart. And you can see on this map, we go into our heart and then we feel love and joy and peace, and we can reason, like when your child is having a massive meltdown, or your grandchild, or maybe you're a teacher and you have a child, we need to match the vibration of what they're feeling. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. You're feeling really angry right now. I can see that you're feeling really angry right now. That must feel really overwhelming. Meet them where they're at. Have that understanding, because we can't process and grow when we're in a state of anger. Like there's so much cortisol in our body, there's so much stress in our body that we can't reason with a child who's having a meltdown. It's not possible. So reason is when we're in our hearts, and we can have empathy and we can have compassion, and we can really understand what it's like to feel what that person is feeling. So ultimately, the law of correspondence is as above, so below. So what's happening inside of you directly reflects your external world. So you're going to see mirror-like things. So this is where you start realizing you keep manifesting a man that's not right for you. You keep attracting friends who are just drama queens. You keep going through a situation where you have your own business and you get to a certain level of income, but you can't get over that despite how much energy you put in and how much money you invest. You've got a ceiling of income, and this happens to us in many different ways in our life. But ultimately, you can drink green smoothies, you can put photos of yourself doing headstands. I used to do all of this on Instagram. If you are angry and if you are not managing your emotions, nothing will change in your life, despite how much it may look in your external world that you're doing all the things and you're being really spiritual. If you are not processing your emotions on a daily basis, things will not change. And I'm sure you're all here. Like, drop a yes in the chat. Are you here for change? Are you here for transformation? Are you here for a new way of being? Because this is it. As above, so below. We must prioritize our well-being. So I've created Wild Wellness as a 9-week deep dive that we go together. And the first thing we do is well-being. We have to clear the vessel. We have to regulate the nervous system. We have to prioritize our well-being. It's really essential. We can't be connected to our intuition. We can't step up into our leadership if we're not connected to our well-being. And the way we do that is devotion. So the WILD acronym is well-being, intuition, leadership, devotion, daily devotion to self. So mastering our time is the law of vibration. This is my favorite law. So when I went to Seven Sisters and I did my 22,222 steps, I was in a space of changing my vibration. When we sing, we change our vibration. So ultimately, quantum physics teaches us that everything is energy. Like, we might look solid, right? Like we can touch ourselves, but we're not. We are particles of energy moving really, really slowly. And we are energy fields within fields within fields. Now, I am not a neuroscientist, but I love the fact that science tells us, like Einstein has been telling us, we are all energy. We are not separate. When we feel separate from the universe or from each other, that causes all of our suffering. All of our suffering comes from this sense of feeling separate. I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, they're doing something better than I am. Separateness causes all our suffering. So going back to the first law, all is one. We are not separate. And we need to be reminded that we need to return to our wholeness, which is ultimately our holiness. Like, does this resonate with you? Like, I get super excited about this kind of stuff. But share with me in the chat. Does this resonate with you? You know how it feels. Like there's pub choir in Brisbane where hundreds of people come together and sing. Like, that is the most incredible way to change your vibration. You're clearing your throat chakra, you're expressing yourself, you're singing, like dancing, you're moving energy. So energy, basically, emotion is energy in motion. That's what emotion is. So if you're feeling shitty and you're tired and your kids are screaming, go for a walk. Get out of the house, stomp around the backyard, do whatever you need to do, but move the energy through your body. You have to process that energy. It's emotion is energy in motion. So our feelings are our prayers. So what that means is you might want to manifest a beautiful place to live, $1 million in your business, like the right opportunities to come to you. So you might be saying to the universe, I want this, this, and this. Like, here's my to-do list. Here's my to-do. This is what I want from you, right? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put it on my vision board. I want to make this much money. I want to attract all these things. And you can look at your vision board every day. But if you do not attune the feeling to that, it won't come true. So what I mean is, how does it feel when you make $1 million? How does it feel to be living in your dream home? How does it feel to be in that relationship with your dream partner? You have to feel that you already have it so that you can receive it. So this is why vision boards don't work, because we have to attune the vibration and fake it till you make it, ladies. Like, dress like you've already made $1 million. You know, like, change your money mindset so that you've already got that money coming in. Where would you be living? Who would I be with? Like your imagination is the key to creating the life of your dreams. And we can create this from our emotional feeling state. So we can use the map of consciousness, we can use emotional freedom technique, we can use heart congruence, we can check in with our wellbeing checklist. There's so many amazing practical tools. Like, I teach women how to meditate with chocolate because I don't have time. I have time to meditate. Do you like chocolate? Yes. Can you do a chocolate meditation every day? Yes. No one has ever said to me they can't meditate. I'm like, you got 3, get a beautiful piece of organic dark chocolate if that's your thing. Mindfulness, put it in your mouth, let it melt, practice some self-love, like put some oil on your breast, like do whatever you need to do. But that is your mindful moment. So my book, Mother On, was about mindful moments in your day to reconnect back to yourself, however that works for you. And we will do your soul care strategies. That's a big part of what we do. You need to know what they are. Like, for me, it's having mind-blowing, connected, divine, otherworldly sex with my husband. Like, that for me changes the way I feel instantly. Like, give me an orgasm and I'm totally back in alignment. And I'm not afraid to ask for it. He's never afraid to give it to me. He's like, okay, babe, okay, let me just get off this meeting. Like, be in your power to know what you need. Do not be afraid to say that. It's mutually beneficial, of course. But ultimately, it's like, what do you need right now in this moment? And when you are fully connected to your intuition, something I share with thoughts when I teach around mindfulness is we have 9 seconds until we attract another thought of the same nature. So we wake up and we're tired and we didn't sleep very well because our child kept waking us up. And so we're waking up in resentment and we're already feeling pissed off. And then we can't organize our day and we're late for where we're meant to go for a play date. And we're just in this like negative spiral, right? This is how our mind works, right? Our mind is attracting thoughts of the same nature. We go down into a negative spiral. So we have an opportunity to break that patterning, right? These are subconscious patterns of how you were parented, You know, someone told you when you were 9 that you could never do art, so you don't believe you're creative. Like, all of these stories go into our subconscious mind and they play out in our life. We can change that when we understand that we can change our vibrational feeling state. We can meet our fear. We don't have to go into every single story of why this happened to us. We don't have to go into that space. We just change our emotional perception of it. But intuition is 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Should I buy this property? You know whether you should buy it or not. Maybe it's a yes, maybe it's no, maybe it's a not now, maybe it's a I'll do it, you know. But if we're not fully connected to our intuition, we get the guidance and we don't listen to it. And then we beat ourselves up because we didn't listen to it. We all have had so many experiences where we're like, I knew I should have done this. I should have taken this road and not that road. It's okay to do that. Like, I believe we're always guided back to our truth. I don't believe we can take a wrong turn on our journey. But ultimately, we know when we had the guidance and we didn't follow it. We've all had those situations. I had a very long, painful journey with a pediatrician that kept telling me to medicate my son and give him this drug that I didn't agree with. And it went on for 2 years. And my son kept saying to me, it makes me feel unwell. And my heart was like, I can't do this. And in the end, I was fighting with his dad over it all the time. It got really, really toxic. And I was like, no, I'm finding a different pediatrician. I cannot listen to this man continue to tell me to medicate my child. Now, Len is medicated, but it is a medication that works, and he now asks for it. It's a very different vibration. He tells me he really struggles without it. His mind is like a washing machine, and this medication just gives him time and space to go to school and be with his friends and get really good grades. And I'm like, yeah, if you're asking me for it, I'm going to give it to you. But I felt like I was forcing this little child to take something that just was not aligned. And so we know when our intuition continues to speak to us. We know what that feels like, that we don't listen to it. It keeps like the universe keeps giving us opportunities to heal, right? And it's going to keep throwing us a situation until we've healed that, until we've listened to that guidance. And there's an amazing teacher called Caroline Mice. She's a medical intuitive, and she's written this amazing book. And it's literally that people come to her with these awful physical manifestations or awful diseases. And she'll say to them, well, what do you want to do with your life? And they'll say, I just really want to move to the other side of the country. I want to divorce my wife. I'm not happy. I want to go work with horses. And she's like, well, go do that then. And they go do that, and all their physical shit disappears. Like, it's extraordinary, this book. It's absolutely extraordinary. And this is what happens when we align to our highest potential and the truth of who we are. So our intuition lives in our hearts. Fear blocks our intuition, and our intuition is the bridge between worlds. So we have our 3D current reality, right? Then we have our 4D world, our imagination, the bridge, and then we have our 5D world. So that's the universe. So we have to activate our heart's intelligence. And so when we understand this, we don't focus on time anymore. Time is not an issue. Time is not a challenge. Like, if I had $1 for every time someone told me they didn't have enough time, I'd be a millionaire. It's not about time, because time is limited. It's about energy. Energy is infinite. So I just want to share with you, and if anyone's got any questions, I'm just going to just quickly hop in the chat box. Beautiful sharing. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. I'm not just rabbiting on. I mean, I'm so passionate about this. And what's really interesting is when you embody these laws, because it's great me telling you, right? It's great going, yeah, there's all these amazing universal laws. And when I did my yoga training, I loved the namas and niyamas, which are like the 10 principles of yoga. And I've actually always loved the 10 commandments. I think they're really beautiful. I don't care if my kids love Buddha, Jesus, Allah, don't really care. Just be a good human. Don't hurt anyone else. You know, the whole, like, that to me is, you know, you get to choose what you believe in, but just be a really good human and go out there and change the world and help others. So ultimately, I love the yoga niyamas, which is about self-love and compassion. So ahimsa, be kind, be clean, be pure, like clear the vessel, right? So my yoga training was a really great introduction for me to start to unravel my fears and get really intuitive. My intuition training was like, the next level. So I like laws, and I like, things to live my life by, because when we're born, we're raised, and then it's like we have our own kids and there's no manual, and it's really confusing. And I'm kind of like, I just like some kind of guidance, right? So I like things. And these universal laws were actually secret, and they were passed down through sages, ancient sages. And then they were given to, I think it was the Kabbalion laws, and they were then made public. And so this information may be new to you, but it's not secret anymore. And the reason I'm passionate about these laws is that I've seen in my own life, when I'm breaking the law, I'm really aware of that. So when I'm breaking the law of mentalism, like we are all one. So if I'm shouting at my child, and I say this, like, I'm not perfect, I'm not a perfect mother at all. Sometimes I'll be in a whole ranty rage, and then I realize I'm just shouting at them, and they are a version of me. And when my husband triggers me, it's actually not what he's done. It's my own shit that I'm angry about. And so I'm angry with him, but I'm not actually angry with him. I'm really angry with myself. And so it's this law of oneness. And then everything is created in the one mind of the universe. So we have this deep sense of oneness. And so when we break those laws, that's when we know we need to change the way we're showing up. So the second law, that law of communication, is so important. We're communicating all of the time. So what are we manifesting? What are we wanting to call in? I mean, I could share with you 1,000 different stories, and I'm just going to go back to gallery screen here, of how I've just manifested things effortlessly. And I shared on my last webinar, like, we had this big black tie ball, and I haven't been to a ball for like 15 years, and I was so excited. And I wanted to wear like a really like out there dress. And I kind of followed my intuition, and I posted in my local group, and then someone said, hey, there's this amazing place where they will gift you ball gowns, right? They've got this beautiful charity. And I was like, this is so beautiful. So I went there, and I just walked in, and within 10 minutes, I had this like amazing studded corset, full princess tulle. I had earrings, I had a bag, and I had this big fur jacket. So I went to the ball, and I loved the whole experience. We had the most amazing night, me and my husband. But I loved this jacket so much. And I said to the ladies, like, I'm going to give everything back. I'm not in need. Like, they give these beautiful ball gowns to girls going to their formal, so they don't miss out. Such a beautiful incentive. So I said, look, I'm going to return everything, but I just love this fur jacket. So I swapped it. I said, look, can I just swap it for a Sass and Bide jacket that doesn't fit me anymore? Because I've had 3 kids now, so can't squeeze into the size 8 Sass and Bide. And they were like, sure. And then I went to this festival, and I'm wearing this fur jacket that I was just gifted. And I had like 50 women literally come up to me going, I just want to stroke your jacket. It was like, this jacket was like attracting all these women. I was having all these conversations. And I got the jacket because I followed my intuition. I didn't want to go buy a new dress. That's just, I hate the whole consumerism. I buy everything secondhand. I'm all about op shopping. I just don't like going out there and spending money that's not necessary. So it was like I followed my intuition, and I could feel this dress, and I walked in, and it was the exact dress I had in my mind. And then, and now I've got this beautiful coat, and I'm never probably going to wear it in Brisbane because it's so warm here. But in Melbourne, when it was 6 degrees at a festival, it was like the most rock star outfit that I was just gifted last week. So the universe is always giving you what you need, right? Like you're this powerful creator. You can always, and I'm not just talking about materialistic things, like the opportunity I got to talk about neurodiversity. There's many, many ways this can happen. But the law of oneness is also that it's not just about you, it's about being of service. It's not just about you getting the things that you want, it's about going out there and teaching and educating and mentoring others. So we're all on our own Shiro's journey, right? We've all gone through devastating relationships. We've gone through trauma. We've gone through all of these situations. We've had kids that awaken us. We've gone on this big journey. And so how can you go out there? And I know many of you are already doing this, and you're already out there doing amazing things in the world. But how can you go out there and turn your pain into opportunity? Like I did that. I took my divorce. I wrote an award-winning book. I've helped so many women on their journey of motherhood. I've mentored mothers and helped them create beautiful businesses that have gone on to influence thousands and thousands of other women. And so we all have this guidance, and we all have this passion inside of us. So I just want to share with you, and we'll break for Q&A in just a second, but just a couple of testimonials. So Becky's my ideal client. Becky has done every single program I've ever launched, and she did my heartfulness training last year. And heartfulness training, I've now changed into wild wellness. So the heartfulness was an intuition program, and I've added in well-being, I've added in leadership, and I've added in devotion, which is now the WILD acronym. And you can see here, like she bought my book, she did my mentoring program, I helped her create this amazing business. She now is a wonderful singing coach. She's now written her own book, and she's really changed. I remember meeting her in a little cafe in Sydney, and she had a lot of anxiety. She's American originally, and she's actually moved from Australia to London now, but she is just fully out there in the world because she's overcome her fears, and she's listened to everything that happened to her in her life. And singing for the self-conscious, she's now helping all these other people that have fear around singing and expressing themselves. So she really has been the most beautiful. She was a dream to work with. And then this is another beautiful client that I helped last year. And this particular client didn't have a big, terrible thing happen to her. And this is the thing with trauma. You don't have to experience death. You don't have to experience divorce. It's just lots of little things that happen to you over many, many years. So this particular client had burnout, feeling numbness, just anxiety, children, all the things. And she'd lost her sense of joy and connection. And so she did the training, and her heart was able to crack open, and she was able to go back into those feelings of love and joy and connection and freedom. And so in the 9-week journey we do together, every single, there's 2 circles at the beginning and the end, and there's 7 masterclasses. And every single masterclass you are taught a practice, and that is your devotion. And you do your devotion, and you become devoted to yourself, and then devoted to your purpose. So let's just quickly review. If anyone's got any questions, I'm gonna stop sharing in a minute, and we can go into a Q&A. But what have we looked at today? We've looked at how to overcome our fears by understanding the law of mentalism. We've looked at the importance of priority. Like, do you agree with me? Like, in this current climate of madness, if we're not prioritizing our well-being, like, what is going to happen to the state of the world if we are not prioritizing our well-being? Okay, there'll be another virus that will come along and we'll just all die. Basically, like, we need to have strong immune systems. We need to be meeting our fear. We need to be, and self-care is not a bubble bath with nice music. It's getting really conscious and clear in our thoughts. You know, it's being really kind to ourselves in the way we think about ourselves. It's not judging. We judge. Oh my God, we energetically judge everyone and everything all the time. All the time. We are addicted to our fear because it's comfortable. And when we start to unravel all of this, we get that self-awareness, and we understand that we have to manage our energy. To do that, we can then become really connected to our intuition, which is the one mind of the universe. And then we don't need to be so attached to external validation because it's all within. We don't have to get people's opinions all the time. Our feeling state is not dependent on if someone's been nice to you or not, because we know the journey of you know, it all starts within us. So speaking our truth, like, as women, like, I did this workshop. It was so potent. Unleash your inner wild woman. And there were probably hundreds of women in this room, and the facilitator was amazing. And she was basically saying, for thousands of years, women have been burnt at the stake, and they've been shamed, and they've been told they're not worthy, and they're too small, or they're too much, or they're too loud. And I see this in my 7-year-old daughter, who's basically a small version of me. And I say to her, you're too much, you're too loud, like, shush, stop it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was told my whole life. And these women in this room were like screaming and crying and roaring. And it was like, after this workshop, like I cried the whole way through because I was like, oh my God, we don't have permission to fucking speak our truth anymore. Like, what has happened to us as women? And it was so powerful. Like, I had to sit down afterwards. I couldn't even speak to anyone, very unusual for me. I had to sit down. I was just like that. Like, I had so much power and energy moving through my body. We have to speak our truth. It's so important that we embody this. And we do that through daily devotion. So we get the confidence and the self-esteem, and we get connected to our intuition. So I just want to share a couple of graphics I've shared. So basically, I've done a lot of marketing, obviously, for these workshops. These are the 2 graphics that have the most comments. So not my job to fix or save anyone else, to be liked all the time, to do it all, to please everyone and hold it together. That's just not your job on this world. Yet we spend a lot of time trying to do that. Our job is to love people. Like, obviously, there are people out there who are not, that have no self-love. Like Putin clearly has no self-love. He is a traumatized child in a very dangerous position. We need to create a new vibration, and that vibration is the highest vibration of all. That is to love each other unconditionally. You cannot feel fear if you are feeling love. It's not possible to feel fear and anger and shame and guilt if you are feeling. And what is fear? Anything that's not bliss. How much of your day are you in bliss and joy? Give me a percentage. Give me a percentage. 1%, 10%, 50%. Like, how much of your day are you in bliss? Are you feeling connected? Are you feeling joyful? Are you feeling, like, how much of your day? Because if you're not doing that for most of your day, you are in fear. You are in lower vibrational feeling states. And I've had 3 years of my life where I was 100% in fear, and I felt no joy and no bliss and no love at all. And it was a horrible space to be. And it was through my journey of coming back to myself and writing my book and going out there, and I've gone from teaching kids to teaching mums to teaching families to teaching CEOs. Not much difference between a 5-year-old and a CEO, just let me tell you, right? It's all about being playful. It's all about having no fear. It's an interesting journey that I've been on. And I think the reason why corporate appreciates someone like me, it's because I'm the most uncorporate person there is. And I rock up with pink hair and with feathers, and I speak from my heart, and it creates impact in that environment. Be authentic. Be who you truly are. Like, be who you truly are. Absolutely speak your truth and just breathe. Like, we have the most powerful tool in our body, our lungs. We only ever use 1/3 of our lungs in our life. Breathe deeply. In each moment, you can choose a conscious breath. You can choose to connect back to who you are. You can choose to be intuitive in that moment. And intuition is not something we turn on, by the way. It is a way of living. You can't turn it on or off. You either have it on and you listen to it and you trust it and you live by it, or you're just awake. You're asleep. You're either awake or asleep. And of course, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. So ladies, little wrap up. What is possible when you get the support you need? Like, do you agree with me that freedom is on the other side of your fear? Do you agree with that? It's not in the comfort zone. It's not in the smallness of what your ego is trying to tell you. There are people out there that go and chase, people like Oprah Winfrey and all these amazing, Maya Angelou and all these amazing thought leaders. They are not scared of their fear. Like, they have met their fear. They are so connected to God consciousness, and they're out there doing radical change in the world. So of course, when you get that support, you're going to have improved health and well-being, more time and energy to do the things that you truly love, and a deeper connection to those that you love, deeper connection to your children, deeper connection to your partner, deeper connection to your clients. And of course, when we have radical self-trust and self-belief, I really believe anything is possible, but we have to believe it. Like when I wrote Mother On, when I was heartbroken and I was a single mom and I was getting up at 5 a.m. every morning because I was full teaching yoga all day. And I'd light my little candle and I'd get up really quietly because my son would be asleep. And every day I just set that intention that this book is going to change my life and it's going to change everybody's life. And I still sell copies. I sold a copy to a mum at Playgroup the other day, and Anne-Marie goes to Playgroup, and then she bought another one, and then she bought another 2 more. Like Monica bought 4 of my books. And I wrote this book like 8 years ago, but people still buy it because the content is it's even more relevant. It's about compassion. It's about gratitude. It's teaching kids yoga and kids mindfulness. It's all of it. It's like the world needs this shift back to love. So I want you to just tune back in and rate how you feel. So we've done that beautiful practice of heart congruence. Like, share with me, where's your number? Like, tell me, did you go from a 10 to a 3? Did you go from an 8 to a 2? Like, share with me where you're at. So ladies, we're going to have a bit of a giveaway now, which is exciting. 8 to a 3, beautiful. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on the call. So Catherine, can you close your eyes and pick a number between 7 actually, because I'm on the call too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. A number between 1 and 7.
All right, I've got a 5 that's come up.
1, 2, 3, 4. So is that is Annie. Annie, that is you, my love. You have won an intuitive guidance session with me worth $222. So we are going to go on a 9-step program together. So unmute yourself if you can. She was there, and I think she's in her excitement.
Thank you so much.
Yay! So thank you, my love, because I've literally just counted the faces. So it was random. It was picked. My friend, beautiful friend Catherine, is an she's an amazing coach. She's supported women for many years. She helps them with emotional overwhelm, and she's very intuitive. So I asked her to intuitively pick a number, and it's you, my darling. So thank you for turning up today, because now we get to hang out more. I mean, we get to see each other at Playgroup every week, but now we also get to connect more as well. Yay! So we will figure out a time where we can go on this journey together. So I'm super grateful for you all being here. So just a couple more slides and then we are done, ladies. So I want to invite you all now, if it feels aligned for you, if you feel excited, if you've enjoyed listening to me get my lioness warrior energy on and go on a massive rant about things I'm super passionate about. I love this quote by Lady Diana: "Don't go by the rule book, I lead from the heart, not the head." And this woman was loved by everyone around the world. Everybody loved Princess Diana. And I really believe that when we can come into the space of our heart's intelligence, when we can manage our energy on our time, when we can speak our truth, when we can do things differently, we can make radical change. So I want to invite you ladies to book in a free 30-minute soul shake-up session with me if you want to go further. If you want to go further on your journey with me, completely complimentary. What happens on that session? So I will tune in, with your permission, to your subconscious fear. I will identify what that subconscious fear is. I will identify where it sits in your physical body using the chakra map, the seven dominant chakras that run from the space of your spine to the top of your head. And that will tell me what needs to be cleared for you to return to wholeness. It's completely free. It's completely complimentary. So if that feels aligned, so we can come up with a personalized plan for you, beautiful Catherine is going to share my booking link in the question tool. Now, I don't believe in, lying, or I'm all about transparent selling. So I am launching my signature program, Wild Wellness. Wild Wellness is a 9-week online journey where we dive into the WILD acronym of well-being. We start with the well-being checklist. We go into intuition. We connect to our intuition. We meet our shadows. We meet our fear. We step into our leadership, however that looks for you. For some women, that's being a beautiful mother. For other women, that's going out and making radical change. Come as you are, wherever you are is perfectly imperfect. We do 7 masterclasses with an opening and closing circle at the beginning and the end. I already have a woman from India joining me, a woman from America joining me. I'm from England, so it's pretty international, it's pretty global. You will also receive, if you book the program within 24 hours, you will receive an offer from me. If you book that within 24 hours, you will receive either an intuitive guidance session, which is a 9-step process to return to wholeness, or an intuitive and guidance tapping session. So what's that? So a tapping session is where we use parts of our body like acupuncture and we tap. And what this does is it releases emotion in your body. And we tap through every single energy center. So remember that map of consciousness I showed you? We go through all of it. We go from shame, guilt, whatever is sitting in there, all the way up. So we release all of that emotion. So the best way to describe EFT, emotional freedom technique, is every time you've experienced a trauma, whether it's a flood or your computer not working, or you shut your child's fingers in the door, or whatever it is, a little red flag goes into your subconscious mind and it stays there until it's released. EFT releases those little red flags because we are living our life from our subconscious mind all the time, right? Only 10% of our conscious mind is active. So we're only conscious of 10% of what we're doing in our life. So we need to go into that subconscious basement and overcome our fear. And I will hold you and guide you the whole way. So you have a choice as to which service you book, but please, if you feel called in any way, book in for a soul shake-up session. It's completely free, and it will be my honor to serve you. So I'll see you, Claire, my love. And I have availability tomorrow and Friday, and then Wild Wellness starts next Thursday. So I only have limited availability tomorrow, Friday, next Wednesday. So ladies, does anyone have any questions? Like anything you want to ask, anything you want to share? I'm going to stop the recording now.